Hello, everyone. Sam and Fee for another Midweek Musings. How you
Hello.
doing, Fee?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm a bit shattered this morning, which is for a good reason, though. I ended up a bit of a late night for me. Went to see some friends, some standers, local people. Yeah, to just sort of discuss uh getting things going in our communities. Well, I mean, there's a lot going on already, but just, there's always more stuff to
Mm.
organize. We talk a lot about the like creating the new systems, rather than constantly just doing battle with the old. So yeah, it was a really lovely evening, but I'm just not cut out for late nights. I'm like 10 o'clock,
That's when you start feeling like
my
you're
eyes are
getting old, isn't it?
crossing.
It's like,
I know.
gone are the days where like past midnight, you'd be out
It
partying,
used to
get
be
up the next day, go to
nothing.
work with
I
no
know.
problem. I know.
I know. It's just that it's way, way behind me now.
Me too.
So aside from that, yeah, I'm not too bad. How about you?
I'm immensely struggling, as you know. My life at the moment is very much a mirror image of the implosion and chaos and struggle that we are seeing in the external world. That is me in my life right now, which is hard. Um, Daily life is like a bit of a battle, to be quite honest with you. But um, yeah, as we were talking about, it's for me at the moment. I'm trying to focus on the ways in which I've grown, um,
Yeah.
and the ways in which I'm dealing with situations in a better way than I have done previously. That um, rather than focusing on the troubles,
Mm.
um, trying to I'm trying to get my words out. My brain's just like a big flurry of like at the minute. So yeah, it's hard to sort of put into words because it's something as well that I can't sort of more than allude to. So I have to be kind of
Yeah.
quick. But yeah, there's yeah, stuff going on that would have broken me. And although, I'm sort of very much in pieces, there's still just about holding together. And
Yeah.
yeah, there are many ways, where, even a few months ago, a year ago, a few years ago, we've all got destructive, harmful habits that we have developed as a response to crisis that sort of we've used to cope in the
Hmm.
past. And at the moment at least, they're not habits I'm returning to. Which I'm kind of taking strength in those
Yeah,
and
definitely.
celebrating the fact that there is growing happening, and although I'm still a big mess, there's definite growth, and um, I'm doing what I can, even though there's only so much that's in my control. I'm taking steps to do what I can, which again is worth celebrating and recognizing. I think for all of us, because I know I'm certainly not the only one that's going through some sort of inner turmoil or busy life, chaos situations. So I think for everybody, recognizing where you're at and
Mm.
where you're improving, and even if it is all still messy, you're
Mm.
managing to cling on to some semblance of sanity. Like that is worth
Which
giving
is a
yourself a little clap
miracle.
over.
It's a miracle,
It
really,
is. It
given
is.
what we're, because what you're describing is very reflective of
It is.
out. I mean, it always is. Because we are what's out there as well. Like there isn't this. It's all an illusion. This separation, like between here we end here, and that's something else, and all these like discrete objects we know actually even just through quantum physics, no, that's not how it is. So it's always going to be that way, and it will never be just us. It's always reflection, the
Yeah.
outer of the inner, mind precedes all, all of that stuff. but it is a bloody miracle that any of us are. And it's funny, isn't it, when you think that this it's one of those silver lining things that, although of course it's horrible to go through these things, often growth, it just seems to be that it comes through adversity, it comes through struggle, because, essentially we just want to be comfortable. We ain't going to move unless we're prodded.
Yeah.
Very few of us. And it seems to be that this growth on a personal level has been off the back of this madness that has, just swept into our lives. I mean, obviously it's always been there, but it's been that simmering kind of,
Yeah,
then like
definitely.
in the last 3 years it's gone bang. And
In your face, can't ignore it.
exactly, and it is, we've talked about it a lot, like it couldn't have been any other way. We're not going to change on the personal level, whatever, without that outside kick up the arse, the stimulus. Because why would you, if you're bumbling along and it's all, oh well, the impetus isn't really there. So it was always going to have to take something pretty big and even dire to wake us up out of the slumber.
Yeah, and I think, as I don't know whether it's a human thing or whether it's a sort of construct of our societal programming, but there definitely is a tendency to kind of sit in that safety and that sort of comfort of what you know and what's familiar and what feels kind of safe. You can make choices to with anything to either remain in that safe comfort zone or to take a giant leap out of it.
Yeah,
In sort of every area of life, really. I'm doing a lot of both.
yeah,
uh in lots of areas of my life, taking those giant leaps where it's I can't remain in that relative safety and comfort anymore, and it is time to kind of, yeah, shake things up and step into kind of where I need to be. It's not even necessarily a want to be.
no.
It's a need, to kind of take those steps forward and leave that
Mm,
little safe zone, I guess. And I
yeah,
think that's been the same. Again, that relates very much to, I think, some of us who have found our activist voice over the
yeah.
last 3 years. Me personally, I've never, actually do. I was going to say I've never like been on protests or done any of that before, but actually that is a little bit of a lie. When I was about 11, they were talking about developing a little village where I lived in Oakley. And they were talking about developing it, and I did accompany my parents on a
Oh,
march to
okay. With
say
your
no to
placard.
Oakley Stoke with these placards and try
There
and
you
stop them
go.
from, because it's a beautiful little village with surrounded. It's quite close to Basingstoke where I am now, but it's set back a bit, and there's some lovely fields between
Mm,
Basingstoke and Oakley, which is lovely natural beauty. But they obviously wanted to come in and demolish all that
yeah,
and build houses, so we were protesting against it. Anyway, slight side note, but yeah, the activist voice of kind of really making that very loud, public, noisy stand about what you believe in, and sort of getting the message out. I never thought I'd be that person,
I
as
think a lot of us never thought we'd be the people we've kind of become over the last few years. Um, yeah, it's just sort of extraordinary circumstances, aren't they, that do mean that you can't. I mean, that okay, there are people that are still kind of waiting for other people to sweep in and sort things out, and but it's only going to become more painfully obvious as time goes on that, oh, actually no one's going to save me. I've got to
yeah,
be actively involved in whichever way that is. There isn't like some prescription for everyone,
no,
but as we've been saying relentlessly, we will all be challenged, we will all be pushed, and confronted, and we'll have to face, you know, whichever challenges there are, and it's all different for everybody. You know, things that other people can cope with really well, I go to pieces, and vice versa. It's as we're finding out.
Sorry, I will just say, so we've got teacher strikes going on, which I think are nationwide. So
Yeah.
while my little girl is at school, my little boy is home and playing trains. So that's the noise in the background.
Oh,
My
don't worry
apologies for the
about that.
interruption.
That's fine if we hear the odd choo
Oh,
choo.
he
Oh
wants to say
no.
hello. He wants to say hello. There
Hello,
he is, a little cheeky
you.
chappy.
Hello, mister.
Half of my world.
Oh. I bet he's not complaining about being off school. Are
Funnily
you?
enough, no, he's quite
No.
happy about it, indeed. Mm,
Yeah, lucky you.
yeah, half my world, and half the reason that, you know, I think it's time to embrace the changes that life's pushing us towards, and for certainly an element of recognizing who you are and growing and stepping into our power and raising our voice for them. Um, it's important. Keep me
Yeah.
going. I think it's the one thing. Those little hugs during the day, and we're a very loving relationship. We tell each other we love each other. I think is important. So
It's very
those little
important.
moments right now are getting me through the day, and looking at that and knowing that, you know, regardless of the internal and external crises that are happening, that it is all about, you know, showing them that there's more to life.
Wow, I did.
Than,
This is my little love note for the day. I picked one this morning. I don't know, is it? Your purpose is joy. Which I almost, this shows like the levels of cynicism. And I was like, bah! You know, kind of scoff, oh, really? You know, um, but this, oh, I shall read what's on the back anyway. Your purpose has nothing to do with how you make a living. That's your vocation, mission, or inspired passion, all worthy, but your purpose is much simpler and bigger. Your purpose is joy. It's about discovering, nurturing, and celebrating who you truly are, and knowing and loving yourself at the deepest level. Which, you know, you can look at these things, but oh, yeah, yeah, it's all those nice gooey words, and but actually, when you stop and think, his purpose is clearly joy. See, we lose it as we get older, and it's just because we're taught that, oh no, life is a grind. It's you know, you're taught this assumption from once you reach a certain age, you've got these responsibilities, and you actually just completely lose perspective of, hang on a minute, so we're here, which is all a bit, oh, we don't really know, like what on earth, where are we, what are we doing, and then you're gone again. So really, what's the point? You have to make the point yourself, don't you? And unfortunately, that's been kind of co-opted. Here it is, and it's this long, arduous struggle, very unsatisfying on the whole. And you know, it reminds me of, this has been so misconstrued, misquoted, actually, the Buddha. You know, a lot of people say that he said life is suffering, but he didn't say that. He said there is suffering. So there's that acknowledgement, because no, we can't be Pollyannas. We've always said that. You can't just plug your ears and pretend it's all the bad things don't happen. You know, la la la, but inside your heart's hammering. I do it because you don't want to look at it. That's not it. When you know, you're very well aware, but you are purposely choosing something else, which is a mammoth undertaking in itself, then that's when things radically change. Your whole life experience changes because you're in full acknowledgement, like we are, of what's going on, what's the agendas are, what's behind this. And the stepping into your power comes when, yeah, I see you, I see all of that, but I'm so much more powerful than that. I can choose
Yeah.
to not feed this thing with my fearful energy. And it's a process, because you're going to have to accept that, yeah, I feel shit scared, and work out your way of getting through that, you know. And there's a million trillion different ways of doing that.
Yeah.
But that's where the power comes. In the end, it's entirely down to us,
And
how
how we
things, exactly how we respond, how, and therefore how things pan out and how we perceive. It's taking back our vision.
yeah.
We literally create all of
I
this with
think
our energy and focus.
both with my personal life and, you know, the situation in the external world, I know eventually it's all going to work out. Like, I feel
Yeah,
that. I know that eventually, you know, we are going to win this as a collective. You know, I it may well be, you know, that conditioning when I was a child of, hang on a minute, bud, of you know, that childhood fairy tale of, you know, good always triumphs over evil. But
mm,
I very much have a feeling that that is true, and I feel it very strongly, and I do feel that, you know, we will get there and we will win. And the same with what's going on in my life, it will resolve, it will work out for the best. But the problem is that the road to get there seems very, very long and arduous, and filled with obstacles and difficulties and struggle. And I think it can make you kind of lose sight of that. It's so cute. Um, it's I think not
it's
focused.
overwhelming, isn't it?
It
It's that you can't
is.
do more than take one step at a time, and the path is revealed
Yeah.
as you go. When you're, it's really projection, because until you're there, it's only in here. You're imagining, and you're also, if you put too much of your focus and just assumption that, yeah, that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. If you can
I don't know.
actually,
There is a. I get that, but at the same time, there is a. You need to be realistic in the fact that, you know, overthrowing the government and the forces of darkness are not going to be the easiest
oh no,
battle to win, nor is,
no,
you know, resolving the situation I'm in. It's not going to happen. Neither of those things are going to be resolved overnight.
no,
Neither of those things are going to be easy, and it is going to be a difficult journey. But I think in what you said, there is, you know, hold that yeah, it's going to be okay in your mind, and as we said this morning, to stop focusing on the how and the what,
yeah,
and you know, of how is that going to happen, how are we going to get there, because, you know, sometimes in the midst of it all, it's I can't see how we're going to get there. I have no
no.
idea how or what we can do to resolve this, but
As I said, though, it will be revealed
it will be
as
revealed.
you, and
Yeah.
people, there are people out there who, you know, they're operating on a higher frequency. They don't suffer through any of this. It's not a given that, yeah, it has to be hard, it has to be this really difficult. If you keep affirming that, that will obviously be your experience. But when you're choosing, even when it looks like you're kidding yourself, you know, like, oh, please look at it, but you keep going with that, no, this is my experience. We have ultimate control over our experience, and what you keep repeating as real or true, or it will be, that is the power that we have, and that's what they don't want us to know. That's
No.
why they've beaten the drum for centuries and centuries and centuries that life is tough, we have no power, and so how do we experience it? And yet we know that there are the the wise ones amongst us who experience it completely differently because their perception hasn't been hijacked. And
I
we've
think
just, yeah, go on.
the place that I'm in at the moment is it's one that's quite grounded in this very emotional response, which I'm struggling to kind of find my way through. There's very much this just whole in my body, this emotional overwhelm. And I think in times like that, it's very much about taking it a day at a time,
Yeah,
and stop trying to think about what's going to happen, and just take those, moment at a time, a day at a time, and just keep, doing what you can in that day to kind of get towards the place that is there where it's going to be okay. And yeah, literally it is, for me anyway, definitely a day at a time, doing whatever it is I can to kind of make life less shit.
yeah. I mean, it's yeah, like I said, otherwise you're just sort of you're fantasizing about. We assume we know. How many times in life have things come about in ways that you could never,
Yeah, it's true.
ever have predicted because the number of circumstances and meetings and incidents and think like the way it is basically the entire universe coming together in this multitude of unfathomable ways for this result. You couldn't, so just give it up. That kind of control, forget it. That's you're not going to be directly involved in any of that. You might get the inspiration to do something or whatever, but again, that's kind of you can't predict. And but it's because we've been hardwired now. It doesn't mean it can't be changed, but to think that we have to physically take this step, then that will lead to that, then that, and actually all the evidence shows it's not how it works. It just isn't. So we just have to kind of let go of that
There's definitely a
need for
certain amount of
control.
surrendering, I
Yeah,
think, to
completely.
there's a path there somewhere for me, for all of us, I think, and surrendering yourself to learning those lessons. And
And it's all within
people say
yourself.
finding yourself, but I think it's more rediscovering yourself,
Yeah, we've
who
never
you
gone
are
anywhere,
under the layers of that the world's put on you. Rediscovering who you are and embracing that, and
which is what it says
moving forwards.
in the
Yeah.
card. When you can't not be anything other than joyful once you've discovered or rediscovered what you really are, because you at that point there's not anything external, seemingly external, that can touch you. It's all in here. It's all being experienced from within. There is nothing, but of course that's what's kept hidden from us. So that's what we're experiencing now as a collective and on an individual basis, that feeling of vulnerability and powerlessness. But then, as you say, we're stepping into more and more of ourselves as this goes along, which is part of the whole thing, isn't it? That is the Great Awakening, is really just that little sidestep into, that's, I remember now. That's what I am really. Oh, that's how it's been described over and over. It's not this huge, I mean, it kind of is, but in a way, it's like, just remember, yeah, like you say, you just sort of rediscover, you remember, it's like, oh God. And I've been, under this illusion the whole time that, all right.
Yeah. And I think, the changing the world does start on an individual level. Until we can rediscover ourselves, step into our power, and really kind of take control of our responses, and of how we experience and contribute to our life. Nothing on the outside is going to change,
No.
because everything that's happening in the world is down to the fact that we've all forgotten who we are and what kind of power we actually have within ourselves. And as you say, that is the great awakening. That is human beings remembering that actually we don't have to surrender our power to these little people that have put themselves on pedestals and given themselves all the money and the power up there. That actually, you know, we have the power to kind of change the world ourselves. And it does start with, yeah, remembering who you are.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, really. It's a lot more simple than we think, but we just have to complicate everything, don't we? Nothing can be simple, nothing can come easy. I mean, it can, but you have to really like completely shift your whole approach to things, because we're very complex beings, really. That's the thing. I mean, when you look at nature, you look at, they just get on with it. They just are themselves, animals and plants. There's no pretense. They just are what they are, and it all works perfectly. That's fine. Us, you know, this just complete mess, really. Speaking for myself.
And me. Yeah, and me.
But yeah, it is a lot more simple than we think, and it's just bringing yourself back. You know, it's very difficult when you are constantly bombarded. It's that battle for some kind of balance, and it just seems to be it's absolutely on a daily basis. Personally, that I'm just, oh God, you know, I've sucked down another rabbit hole, and before you know
So
it,
many of those, isn't
I
there?
know, and a few days have gone by, and you're starting to feel that, oh, again, because you've just not been balanced with it. So I'm taking a week off from the weekend, of just, so all the like the stand social media and stuff, I'm having a little
FiFi blackout for a
mini
little while.
hiatus. Yeah, just because, you know, I've got other things as well that I really need to be putting my energy into as well, which is, you know, it's still very much to do with this whole thing, creating the new, and but yeah, it's, you know, just switching off again for all that external stimulus. This has happened, now that's happened, look over here, look over that. I mean, it's just
It was never ending.
constant, and it's very easy to be pulled into it. And what do we think about this? And, oh, we better share that, and blah blah, you know. And it's absolutely exhausting, and you don't feel like you're living your life again. You know, those moments of presence become fewer and fewer, and it doesn't have a good effect, you know, in the long run. I feel it quicker and quicker these days. It's like, oh yeah. So you've got to give yourself permission as well. You're not going to be able to change that perception if you're not even here to be aware of what your perception is. You're just off on, you know, the screens, and there is a lot more to life. So yeah, I'm going to have a little week off and see, sort of unplug somewhat, as I want to do every now and then. But yeah, so here we are. This is how it is right now.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, key takeaway message. If you're struggling, take it day by day. Hold on to the hope that it'll resolve. Don't get hung up on the hows and how it's going to get there. But remember to be present and grab hold of those little moments that bring you joy, like that little smile over there.
Don't forget your purpose in the end.
And the joy.
Yes, it's not so serious. We're having a little experience, is, you know, all that is. consciousness, just having this experience as this little being here, and you know, we're actually infinite. We really don't need to be worrying about anything really when you look at it, but
Doesn't really stop.
it helps to just remember every now and then. It throws a bit of a different light on things, but yeah. So yes, we will reconvene in a couple of weeks, and yeah, hope everyone is doing all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Take care of yourselves.
Sending lots of love. Yeah.
Let's say bye-bye, Jake.
Say bye.
Mwah.
Lots of love. Take care.
Big love. Bye.